Hi, dear friends. Some words of Torah for Parshat Behar Bechukosai. The guaranteed blessings for living a good life are detailed at the end of Sefer Vayikra. All we need to do is follow Hashem's rules and perform the mitzvot. Of note is that most of the blessings promised are of physical wealth and well-being. The commentaries discuss the thorny question of why the Torah never promises a goodly portion in the world to come. We'll put that question aside for now. Instead, we'll take the approach that if we read the verses carefully enough, we may find some spiritual blessings just beneath the text. The final physical blessing is about Bnei Yisrael's agricultural harvest. The Torah says, Va'achaltem yashan noshan. You will eat well-aged produce. V'yashan mipnei chadash totziu. And you will take out the old to make room for the new. As Rashi explains, your yield will be so great in the field that you won't have enough room to store all your grain. You'll need to remove the old grain and store it somewhere else in order to make room in your silos for the new grain. One function of a silo is to dry out the grain. Since the old grain has already been dried, it can be safely stored in sacks in other places. Room has to be made for the new grain to dry properly in the silos. Rabbi Ovadia Sefarno understands the word totziu, that you will take out the old grain, a different way. Whereas Rashi understands that it means that you'll be forced to remove the old grain from your silos, Sefarno understands that the word can also mean exporting. Bnei Yisrael will be selling the produce of Eretz Yisrael to other countries because they will have such a surplus of grain in their land. We are witness today of the modern miracle of the state of Israel, which has been exporting delicious produce for decades. Moreover, the exports aren't just in produce. The startup nation is exporting all kinds of new technologies and ranks as one of the highest in the world, as a source of high tech. Either way, the verse is describing a blessing of tremendous well-being. Not only will the Jewish people have food on their tables, they will have such a surplus that they won't have to worry about saving up for a rainy day, since the granaries will be overstocked for years. Some commentaries understand the verses metaphorically, in that the blessing doesn't just refer to agricultural bounty. Chadash, the new, also refers to new covenants with Hashem. When the Torah says that we'll replace the old with the new, it means that upon the advent of the Messianic age, Hashem will make a new covenant with us that will supersede the covenant that he made with us after we left Egypt. This new covenant and messianic experience will overshadow the old covenant, but will still be eating the old produce together with the new. This is reflected in the Haggadah, citing the Mishnaic debate between Ben Zoma and the rabbis. The rabbis say that when Mashiach comes, the miracles will be so great that when we have our seders, we'll primarily be discussing the messianic redemption, the new. Nonetheless, we will still make mention of the exodus from Egypt, which won't be completely overshadowed by the more recent messianic events. V'yashan mipnei chadash totziu means that the new miracles will outshine and overshadow the old. This metaphor extends to all kinds of spiritual growth. The Imrei Emes explains that our approach to Judaism has to constantly be contemporized and refreshed. The old ways of expressing our love for Hashem don't always work for a new generation. We should all be seeking to make the old new again by constantly refreshing the way we observe Judaism, adding new practices, and rejuvenating the old. For example, if a person feels that their davening has become stultified, they may wish to acquire a new siddur with a new commentary or at least a new font that helps them see things in the prayers that they had never seen before. When a person studies Gemara, they should make an effort to utilize all the new technological tools and apps to help enrich their understanding of the text. Or if a person has been studying Talmud for years and is looking to liven up their Torah study, they may decide, at least for a time, to focus on a different area of study outside of Gemara to augment their Torah knowledge. The same is true in relationships. The old always has to make room for the new. If we constantly bring our spouse the same bouquet of flowers or the same tie or sweater for their birthday, the practice eventually grows stale. The key to keeping our relationships with our spouses exciting and vital is by constantly seeking new ways to deepen the relationship while at the same time holding on to the values and commitments that were the foundation of that relationship. Additionally, it's sometimes necessary to let go of the old, to forgive past trespasses and forget old grudges, in order to make room for the new and allow a relationship to be revived. Recall that the Sforno had understood the verse to mean that we'll have so much grain that we'll export the old grain to other countries. If we look at the verse metaphorically, then sometimes it may be good to export some of our old religious approaches and share them with others. That is, when I interface with younger people, whether it's my children or my students, I may choose to share some of the approaches and areas of study that worked for me in my youth, even though I may have outgrown them as an older person. Just as we would pass along clothing that we've outgrown because it's designed for younger people, we may wish to do the same with ideological approaches. So, for example, I may have already mastered or advanced beyond a certain area of Torah study, but I can also appreciate how a new set of eyes would find the same area quite exciting and new. I should strive to export my experiences to others so that they can discover or rediscover those things that illuminated my past. What does the next verse say after talking about eating the new and the old together? V'natati mishkani b'tochechem. I will place my divine presence among you, v'lo tigal nafshi etchem, and I will not despise you. By renewing our relationship with Hashem, by placing our old commitments in new vessels, we will be blessed by having Hashem dwell among us, because he will see how we are trying to maintain our relationship with him in new and improved ways, using modern sensibilities and tools to enhance our Judaism. Holding on to past traditions is vitally important. Judaism is all about tradition, and the halachic system in place is inviolate and part of an unbroken chain. But if we don't learn how to use new technologies, terminologies, and methodologies for advancing our religious devotion, then we run the risk of our Judaism going stale. Furthermore, openness to change is really the key to the whole mitzvah of teshuvah, of turning back to Hashem and keeping his presence with us. And so, dear friends, we should try to maintain a balance between maintaining the traditions of our past while embracing change for a new era. As we continue to evolve towards the ultimate redemption, let us look for signs that will continue to bring us closer to that ultimate end. May we see it b'mehera b'yameinu. Amen. Here's wishing you a beautiful Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom.